Super excited to welcome back to the show Canadian recording artist and Grammy winner and Juno Award winner as well, Alessia Cara. Alessia, I'm so happy to see you.
I'm happy to see you too. It's been a while.
It has been a while, and every time I have you on, I'm always obsessed with your latest project. So, congratulations on the new album, Love and Hyperbole. Um, Please promise me you're going to release Nighttime Thing as a single.
Oh my gosh. I cannot promise that, but I'm glad that people are into it. I definitely it almost didn't make the album. So I'm glad that people like it and that I made the right choice. So we'll say that.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's all of it's amazing. I wanted to start, I guess, by asking you, when it came to the sequencing of the album, did you play a part in that? And if so, was it a struggle to organize everything?
Yeah, I put together the sequence and it was I kind of went through a few different uh arrangements. I think I wanted this album to feel as chronological as possible so that if you're playing it from beginning to end, there was a story and an arc. But I also tried to mix up a little bit of the sonics too, because I didn't want like all the slow songs in one section. And, I wanted to feel kind of like ups and downs a little bit. So this was the balance that I landed on. It was a bit of a challenge, but I think I got it to a good place, I think.
And I know this is a ridiculous question, but do you have favorites on the album, or do they all speak to you at different times of the day and or week?
I think it definitely changes, but I do have some favorites that always kind of poke their heads out, like Fire, obvious. Um, I love Drive. I like all of the like, I guess emotional, like sad ones, or not the sad ones, but like the sappy ones or something. I always tend to gravitate towards the melancholic ones, but I do love Nighttime Thing too.
How challenging is it for you to choose a single?
Um, it is hard. It's hard because you're trying to think of, first of all, a song that you're going to be able to tolerate singing always, number one. So you have to pick one that you're going to be okay to sing all the time and talk about all the time. You also have to pick one that you think majority of your fans and listeners would like, and then also kind of everyone on the team has to kind of agree to some degree so we can all like be on the same page. So there's a lot of factors, but this time around, honestly, I love each song so much that it was easy for me to be like, I think a lot of these could work, which is very rare for me. I'm usually like, I need it to be these ones. But for this time, I was like, honestly, I love so many of these. And I was kind of stumped, to be quite honest. I was just trying to go with, okay, what makes sense for the story of this album?
You mentioned your fans, which I wanted to talk about for a second because, when you and I first spoke, when you were 19, like that was your first album, Know It All. And obviously, you didn't have a big repertoire behind you, but now this is like your fourth album. So you have a big repertoire behind you. And
Mhm.
obviously, you have tons of fans who are super passionate about Alessia Cara. So when it comes to new projects, new albums, how do you kind of quote unquote cater to your fan base, but also evolve as an artist?
Um, that's a tightrope that I try very like that I try to like walk a lot, very carefully because yes, I think like on one end, I'm an artist. I like, I'm a music fan. There's so many things that I love to like self-indulge in that I want to try and things that I want to do. And I feel like it's important to like you said, grow and try new things and do things that you love. Because at the end of the day, it's your legacy. It's going to be your name on it forever. You have to love it. But then also, you can't discount the fact that the reason you have this life is because there are people who have supported you all these years, who have been following you and that go to the shows and that are excited. And I don't ever want to just make something that's totally selfish and be like, well, I like it, so too bad. Like I want to give them, and it feels like I'm gifting them something each time and I want them to love it. So I think thankfully I feel like the stuff that I like, my listeners also kind of like, because I think you just attract like-minded people. So I don't think it's too far off of a difference, but I try really hard to just find a good balance between like, okay, you know, growing and trying new things and doing things that feel exciting for me, but also that people can relate to as well.
How are you finding that you are growing and evolving as not only a recording artist, but also as a songwriter? And like, can you go back to your songs that are on Know It All and feel good about them still? You should, but I'm just wondering if you can.
I mean, yes and no. I think, 10 years in now, I'm so kind of far removed from that it's kind of done a 180 where I feel nostalgic for those songs and I like have so much love for them in a new way. I think for a while I was like trying to get away from them because it's like when you're constantly known for the thing that you used to be all the time, and like an underdeveloped version of you, and you go back and listen, and you kind of, I don't know, for me, like some of those songs, I was so young, and so I would cringe at like some of the choices I would make vocally and creatively and stuff. So those things kind of felt like they haunted me for a little bit, but now I just feel like I understand now why people love it and that it means a lot to people, and I'm able to like look at that version of myself and like be proud of her, and rediscover my love for her. And yeah, in terms of like how I've grown, I just think I'm a lot more confident as a writer. I feel like I can walk into a room now and just feel better about myself and not be scared to try things, not be scared to be like, I don't like this, or let's try something else, or just to keep working. And instead of like walking into a room feeling like I have to prove myself as a young woman, being like, I want these people to know that I'm a good writer and that I can do it. Like, I think I just go in now being like, let's just try stuff. And that to me feels like growth, you know?
Where was most of this album written? Was it in Toronto? Were you down in LA? Like, how did that go this time around?
Um, I think because it was like, the last album I kind of had to make remotely at home, and, you know, within Canada. This time I just kind of did the opposite. I was like, well, now we're able to travel. So I'm just going to go to a bunch of different places. I went to England, I went to Miami, I went to LA, Nashville. So I kind of was honestly all over the place.
Last time we spoke, you were talking about coming to Montreal. I think you even, I don't know if you recorded, but you were here doing something, I think.
Mhm.
Have you ever like do you want to ever write here in Montreal?
Honestly, I did a lot of the last album in Montreal because again, we couldn't fly. So I took a road trip with my best friend to Montreal. We drove like 5 hours, and just like hunkered down there with some producers, you know, from Canada, within Canada. And I did a lot of the last album in Montreal. So it's definitely a super inspiring place. I just love that it just feels like you're in Europe a little bit, you just get a different feel. So I've always found it to be very inspiring, and it was really instrumental in my last album and a lot of the inspiration for the last project. So I might have to go back there. It's worked the last time, so I'm confident that it can work again.
Please come back.
Yes, yes, for sure. I love it there.
We're going to talk a little bit more about Montreal in a sec, but I did want to ask you, was it a super big conscious decision? Because apart from John Mayer, I don't think you've, collaborated with anybody else on this album. Was that a super conscious decision to just stick with you?
Um, I mean, not necessarily conscious. It's not like I went into it being like, I'm not going to collab with anyone. I think it's just, I only want to do collaborations if it really calls for it, or if it's kind of like shouting at me that this song needs that, or this person would be really perfect for it. I know we do live in like a very, at the age of collaboration and stuff, but I don't know. I think because these songs are so personal, I really just want to be particular about like who I ask and stuff. And I'm also just very shy, honestly, to be frank. I just am scared to ask people sometimes. But with him, I just thought he would be so perfect for that song. And I really thought he could add so much to it. And he's been an idol of mine for so long. And I had his number, and I was like, do I do it? Do I not? And I just like was like, I'll just do it. And I fully expected him to say no. But it was a pleasant surprise.
Amazing. Last time we spoke, you also mentioned that you wanted to do a collab at some point with Anderson .Paak. Is that still on the table?
Yes, absolutely. It's so funny because we've tried to collab so many times where like he would say, oh, you got to work on this song for my project. And I'm like, you got to work on this song for mine. And it just hasn't happened. Like there's always something in the way that doesn't allow for it to happen. But I have always wanted to work with him, and I still do. And I'm still praying that that can happen one day. Maybe, who knows, on some sort of deluxe or something. Or I'm not hinting at anything. I promise. I'm just talking.
Um, Now you are going on tour fairly soon. What are you excited to bring to your fans? And please tell us the excitement in you coming to Montreal because we cannot wait for you to get here in May.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. I the last time I toured, I mean, for the most part, I've toured, opening for other people. So I don't really get to go out like on my own, and I'm so excited. It's been so long since I've been in Montreal like for my own show. So it's gonna be really really fun just to feel the energy of a Montreal crowd. Every single time I've played in Montreal, whether I'm opening for someone or I'm for my own show, the audience, like they've always been at the top of the list for like audience energy. Genuinely, I'm not just saying that. Like they've always been so warm and kind and excited. So I really cannot wait to to come out and just play this like new music. I feel like this music is meant to be played live, so I can't wait.
When you do come to Montreal, is there a pit stop that you have to make? Because, for example, I interviewed Kylie from the Beaches recently, and
Mm.
she said that they actually made a detour out of their tour last year to have one night in Montreal, even though they weren't performing here, to stop at a restaurant. So, is there any place that you have to go when you're in Montreal?
There are a few. There are definitely a few. There's a pizza place called Elena that they make like sourdough pizza. It's unreal, so good. And there's a sandwich place. It's like a deli, but they also do like chicken cutlet sandwiches. It's called Clark's. It's so amazing. Every time I go there, I have to get a sandwich from there. I get the chicken cutlet sandwich. Oh my goodness. It is unreal. So definitely those two spots.
Amazing. Just a couple of quick questions that I like to get out to your fans. If you were on a group text for either a boy band or a girl group, who would that be?
Oh my goodness. Oh, that's so hard. Because I've always had this like secret dream of being in a band. I don't know why. I've always wanted to be in a band. Oh my goodness. Uh, maybe. I mean, since we're talking about Anderson Paak, I feel like it'd be like an S Club 7 vibe, like boys and girls, or like a Paramore. So I'd be like maybe Anderson Paak, maybe Haley Williams. She's been in a band before. She's legendary. I love her. And John Mayer, maybe. He'd be the sickest guitarist ever. So yeah, maybe John Mayer, Anderson Paak, Haley Williams, me. That'd be sick.
That would be sick. Let's make that happen. Uh,
Yeah.
if there is, or is there a sitcom or a drama, like a show, like a TV show from when you were either a kid or like a young adult, that you wish would be rebooted, that you would love to watch again?
Ooh, these are excellent questions. There are so many. I honestly, I love the show The King of Queens, with Jerry Stiller and Kevin James and Leah Remini. It's like the funniest show, honestly, ever. Some of the best characters on TV, and I would love for them to reboot it. Of course, Jerry Stiller has since passed away, which makes me devastated because you can't do King of Queens without Arthur Spooner. But that would be a dream, like if they rebooted that show. I've seen every episode a million times, and it's the funniest show ever.
Two fast questions for you. Tell me you still love performing and hearing your song here.
I actually do. I will say I always have. I've never gotten sick of that song, and I still just have a love for that song. So yes, yes.
Amazing. And lastly, message for your Montreal fans.
Message for my Montreal fans. Oh my gosh. Like I said, you guys are always some of the most excited, warm, kind, loving people. Every time I play in Montreal, we leave like either in tears or just like so on an adrenaline high. So thank you for that energy. I'm so excited to play for you. And I know it's going to be amazing. I know you guys are going to be incredible. So I can't wait.
Amazing. Alessia, thank you so much for doing this. We really appreciate your time.
Thank you. I appreciate yours as always. Good to see you again.